at quite a few out there, so let's get rolling. We have next on the open mic a man who's been away for a few months, so even though he's kind of regular, it feels like he's a born-again first-timer. Please, some applause for Mr. James Warner.
Hey, DC. Hey. This is my favorite place in all of DC, except right now it's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind up here. With rice. You can all sing that if you want to. So I am a song, or something like a song, maybe a substitute for a song. You see, my father is a musician, and he worked most of his life writing jingles, music for commercials, but he always yearned for something more. He wanted to write a hit record, a hit song, a Broadway show. And I was conceived when he was 45. And by that time, I think he was accepting that maybe that was not the form that success was going to take for him. My conception was an accident. My mother was not supposed to be able to have children again. She had just started a new career. My sister was already 10 years old and money was tight. So my parents talked about whether or not they were going to have me. And my father wept. He said, you know, I may never have a hit song, but I would like to leave a son behind as a legacy. So here I am, my father's song. And my father knows an infinity of songs. He's been working as a musician since he was 16 years old. He's played Vegas with famous Italian tenors. He was the original conductor of Man of La Mancha. And he ran one of the biggest jingle houses in New York City for 25 years. And when I was growing up, I'd be watching television, and you know, one of his commercials would come on. You know, put a Tic Tac in your mouth and get a bang out of life, or a big pick for Purdue. No, I'm not saying anything. Anyway, he would, there we go, sing along. And he would, you know, come shuffle by in his robe on a Saturday morning and go, oh, that one's mine. Which was thrilling. You know, I grew up in a house full of music. There was a baby grand in the living room. The records, thousands of records lined the walls, and he would play them every night as I was going to sleep. So I know more standards and show tunes than is generally acceptable for a straight man. And my family, whenever we get together around the piano and just sing from my father's endless catalog of songs. So one song spinning into the next. But there is one group of songs that he never plays, even though we heard them endlessly for months. See, the dream of the Broadway musical never entirely died, and when I was 14, he entered a songwriter's workshop, and with a lyric writer, they chose this play called Sly Fox, and they're going to turn it into a musical. And Sly Fox is written by Larry Gelbart, who created Tootsie and MASH, and a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. And they liked what they did so much that they wanted to pitch it to Gelbart himself. And through connections, they got a date for Gelbart to come to our apartment and for them to audition for him. And if it worked, he would give them the rights to pursue it, and they could look for investors and maybe make a real thing out of it. So for a month, our apartment, our living room was turned into a rehearsal space. And singers were contracted, and my father, you know, became a different person, totally, you know, driven and distant. But it was fine because I liked the songs, especially one about a con man named Abel, who's going to try to con another con man. And it went, picture me, cards are red hot, mountains of chips on the table. Picture me, cards have gone cold, creditors gunning for Abel. I just found myself singing and walking around. And the big day came, and Gelbart was late. And my father and me and my mother and the singers and the lyric writer all waiting in the apartment thinking like, okay, this is like another New York City musical theater dream dying an anonymous death, over which more people shed more tears over like botched Chinese food orders than the demise of musical theater dreams. He came in the end, Larry Gelbart came in the end with his wife, and the performance began. Now, when my father plays music, even though he's at the piano, it's a very physical thing. He moves when the music enters him. You can see the rapture. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Gelbart did not move. Gelbart did not smile. And when the performance ended, I was sent out of the room, and I peeked in and watched him tell my dad no. And my dad, ultimately was not so upset. He was realistic, and I think he was glad to have done it, to taken his shot, maybe relieved it was over. But I was pissed for him, I really was. And 2 years later, by total chance, Larry Gelbart comes to my high school to give a talk to my literary magazine. I don't know what he said. I don't remember a word of what he said because I had a question for Larry Gelbart. And I said to him, Mr. Gelbart, has anyone tried to turn any of your properties into a musical, for example? And he didn't recognize me. And he said, no, actually, yeah, a couple of years ago, someone wanted to turn Sly Fox into a musical, and it wasn't the right thing. And, that was gracious. And I was pleased that he at least remembered. And afterwards, I went up and introduced myself, and he was a little embarrassed, but of course, that was the idea. I think my father was a little taken aback by the audacity of it, but maybe a little pleased. And that song, Picture Me, always sticks in my head, especially when something a little on the bounds of what is acceptable, a little audacious, is called for. But the significance of that song is mine alone now. This is my dad's 80th year, and his memory has become a little fragile. And every lapse, every time he loses the thread of a conversation, it terrifies me. I've grown up with a father who's 45 years older than me, always with the anxiety of a much older father. And now, these incidents make it much more real to me, and I feel it. The only time you can be sure that he's eternally himself is at the keyboard, when he's playing, and he enters into eternal time. The songs can just keep coming. You just sing the lyrics, he'll say, and I'll play the songs. And at Thanksgiving, we were all around playing, singing, and I leaned down to him and I said, hey, Dad, next one, do the one from Sly Fox. And he said, what? I said, yeah, you remember, Picture Me. He said, I don't remember. He gave me some blank eyes. I said, you wrote it. He said, I don't remember. And I let it go. I let the songs come back around us, the music, the party, let him just enter back into that, aware that there's some things about him that I'm going to be responsible for remembering myself. Thank you very much.